Hey, what's up? Continue our series of the Operation Encore Edits. This is an edit that is described as Abdussattar Sheikh's remarks of Omar al-Bayoumi. And just a short rundown, Abdussattar Sheikh was a San Diego resident in Lemon Grove, California, that rented rooms for a number of years. Two of those rooms that were one room that was rented just happened to be Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi, two of the muscle hijackers on board Flight 77 that crashed in the Pentagon on September 11, 2001. Omar al-Bayoumi is a suspected Saudi spy that was a ghost employee at a company called Dala Avco, which has links to Osama bin Laden. Omar al-Bayoumi was receiving a monthly stipend from the Saudi government, and a lot of that money that he was receiving during the years 2000 and 2001 were going to Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. So this is going to be the edit that we're going to read today together. And let's see what it says. I'll blow it up just a little bit more. Abdussattar Sheikh was interviewed by Special Agent Blank on September 24, 2001. Sheikh advised that he is one of the founders of the Islamic Center of San Diego. Sheikh identified a photo of Omar al-Bayoumi, whom he became acquainted with in 1994 when Sheikh was teaching at the American Commonwealth University. Now, incidentally enough, through the reading of the Canestraro document, it came to my attention that the CIA had a record going back to 1994 of Omar al-Bayoumi. Now, this was mind-blowing because here's a guy 7 years prior to the attacks of 9/11, has a file with the CIA. What for? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Was it basically because he's actually a prominent face within the Arab community, especially within the Sunni community in San Diego, in Los Angeles? I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but I found that to be quite striking. Al-Bayoumi was in the United States using a Saudi Arabian passport. Because of his facial features, he is possibly of Egyptian descent. Omar al-Bayoumi appeared to be approximately 40 to 45 years old. Abdussattar Sheikh, who's actually an FBI informant, codenamed Stan, if you haven't watched my previous video, please watch that, believed al-Bayoumi always had a significant source of supply of money and observed him driving a new Toyota. And at this time, even the FBI knew about Abdussattar Sheikh, but they really didn't know anything about Omar al-Bayoumi at this point. Al-Bayoumi was charismatic, charming, and didn't conceal his attempts to attain leadership roles within the San Diego Muslim community. Al-Bayoumi had expressed an interest in becoming a citizen, which may have been just deployed. Al-Bayoumi socialized with Nawaf al-Hazmi and Khalid al-Mihdhar. Nawaf al-Hazmi disclosed to Abdussattar Sheikh that Omar al-Bayoumi was a spy for the Saudi government and directed Sheikh not to socialize too much with him. Now, this is really important because it's the Saudi government and the CIA who have Omar al-Bayoumi to give logistical and financial support to Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. Meanwhile, here you have Nawaf al-Hazmi telling Abdussattar Sheikh, who just happens to be an FBI informant that Nawaf al-Hazmi didn't know, spies all around, by the way. And that just shows you how close the intelligence services were to the hijackers of 9/11. And if the Saudis were this close, what do you think the Israelis were doing? Right? We'll get into that later. Go read the Gerald Shea Memorandum series that I finished recently. Al-Bayoumi, Abdussattar Sheikh, basically was trusted by al-Hazmi, but al-Hazmi didn't trust al-Bayoumi because he thought he was a Saudi spy. And probably didn't tell Omar al-Bayoumi what the real intentions were, which is the reason why Omar al-Bayoumi became part of the operation that the CIA covertly were running inside the United States illegally with the Saudi government to try and get information about why these two al-Qaeda operatives were here. Now, remember, if you follow my channel, you'll understand that the CIA and NSA were monitoring an al-Qaeda communications hub in Yemen, in which there was an important phone call in December of 1999 that came from Tawfiq bin Attash, also known as Khalid, in Malaysia, about a very high-profile al-Qaeda meeting in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. Between January 5th and January 8th of 2000 is when the meeting took place. And from there, Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi, who were invited to this meeting, who were living at the al-Qaeda communications hub, Khalid al-Mihdhar was, because he's married to the owner of the house's daughter. And while they left the meeting, they went to Bangkok, and the CIA and NSA, the NSA, who were monitoring the phone calls, claim that they lost them. The CIA also claims this. When they arrived inside the United States, the CIA knew about them inside the United States, and so did the Saudi government. But they never told the FBI. They never told the Department of State. They never told the Office of National Intelligence about two known al-Qaeda operatives inside the United States. Al-Bayoumi had an office at the Kurdish mosque in El Cajon, California, where the leadership neither liked or trusted him. You'll notice that Al-Bayoumi is everywhere in San Diego, but hardly anyone likes this guy. And asked him to leave approximately 3 years ago. Abdussattar Shaikh did not trust Omar al-Bayoumi as well and believes he possibly was involved with the 9/11 attacks. I don't think so, because here you have the hijacker, Nawaf al-Hazmi, saying that they think he's a Saudi spy. So, of course, he's not going to know any knowledge about the 9/11 attacks. Omar al-Bayoumi was deceptive. He did not trust him. He described al-Bayoumi as lacking in any formal education and lacking in intellectual capability. You'll notice that that goes for the same for the al-Qaeda hijackers involved with the 9/11 hijackings of those 4 planes, for the exception of the pilot hijackers, who were educated. But in terms of religious education, none, because they were Wahhabi, Salafi, Muslims. These were not Quranic Muslims. They were not educated in the Quran, because the Quran doesn't tell you to go out and kill people to spread the word of Islam. I think it's in the book of Al-Medina or al-Baqarah, where it basically says, for he who kills one, it's as if he kills all of mankind. Al-Bayoumi was known at the mosque near Balboa Avenue and 805 freeway and frequently surrounded himself with men in their 20s. All Saudi men, Arab men, Yemenis that came to the United States. Wanted to know what they were doing here, but he wouldn't go so far as to give them financial assistance. Only for the respect of Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. Al-Bayoumi would promise to help visiting Islamic students, but his assistance never evolved. It was all talk, no action. Redaction concluded Al-Bayoumi was asked to leave his position at the Al-Medina Mosque after irregularities were found in association with his collection and distribution of funds. So there you have it. There's a lot of questions regarding Al-Bayoumi's assistance to Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. And there's a lot more questions that I would like to ask, but he is not in the United States anymore. He's actually in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh. So all attempts to try and interview this guy are probably lost. But that's it for this episode. And I hope I filled in some of the blanks with some questions. And see you in the next episode, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.